Wait a minute. Am I live? Have to check. I am live. Hello. Welcome to the MuseScore Café. For today, it's October 28th, 2020. My name is Marc Sabatella, and I'm the director of the Mastering MuseScore School. This is my weekly series I call the MuseScore Café, where wait a minute. Am I live? I talk about some aspect of making music with MuseScore. And it's live, and so people who are here live can be participating in the chat. So you in Europe just had a time change. Ours hasn't happened yet, and I need to give you a heads up that when ours does happen, it's going to change your time relative to our time again. So that's a heads up, and I forget when our time change actually is. I should probably know that. When does the United States go into um, daylight savings time? I don't actually know. But let me get my chat going over here. Give me a second. Cafe on MuseScore.com. I want to post the link to where the MuseScore Cafe. So this Sunday, right? Yeah, this coming. That's what this coming weekend. So by next week, I think things will be off by an hour again. So it'll be 17:30 GMT, I think, is the way that works. And I will make sure that I'm clear about that in any announcements I put out. Anyhow, so as those of you who are present here today, probably most of you have been following along. We have been doing this challenge. It's just a fun thing to get people to think about writing choral music and thinking about fall, thinking about autumn. And so what we've been doing is having people just take some poem about autumn and setting it to music. And specifically, we've been talking about setting it to choral. Choral music. So an arrangement for four voices or whatever. It's not a requirement that it be exactly four, but that's just sort of a traditional way of arranging for voices. So we've got a couple additional pieces that were submitted since last week. I have my own piece that I finally finished. It's like I started it, the day I came up with the idea, and then got sidetracked with other things and finished it over the weekend. So I'll be playing my own piece, and I will play through everything because why not? I'm not going to go really deep into depth analyzing things now because a lot of these are ones that I've talked about before with that in mind. And sometimes we've got like a couple people who've submitted multiple pieces, and I'd just as soon just listen to them all. And but there is one piece that was submitted a while ago. It barely feels like fall anymore now. It feels like we've hit winter, actually, but in Colorado, anyhow. There's this one piece that had been submitted pretty early on that somehow fell off my radar, and I apologize for that, Sergio. If you are watching, we're going to get your score going now. So the first thing I need to do is I'm doing something a little different with the sound. I'm trying to improve the sound that is happening here, and I want to find out if what I'm doing here is working. So again, I'll play a measure. You all tell me if you hear it. So, do you all hear the sound there? And I know you guys are like a couple seconds past me, so I have to stall for a couple seconds while I wait for some confirmation. But I want to make sure that that I have sound. And the other thing I need to do is make sure that I tell you, you remember the last time that was good. We have sound. The screen went black or we lost sound. And so I spent some time with the support from the people who the software that I'm using to run all this. And as near as we could figure out, there was an actual internet issue somewhere between me and them, or in between them and YouTube, that was getting in the way. And we are not able to reproduce the problem. If it happens again, I'm just going to keep watching my phone here, and if the screen goes black, I'll see it. If the sound goes dark, please say something. All right, so this is Sergio Gutierrez, a composition based on a poem by William Carlos Williams, and it musically it is like it is unlike anything else that we've heard, and I love that. Everything's different. I think when we hear my piece, it's also going to be different. All right, so here is This Is Just to Say. Yeah. I mean, I think this is gorgeous, and I can't even begin to tell you, um, to explain what makes it work. It's largely diatonic, and yet all these sounds. I mean, right off the bat, we have a major seventh chord. So I am going to talk a little bit about this one because we didn't before. But yeah, a lot of the sounds here are just sort of unique sounds that I just um, have never really. This sound is, oops, sorry. I'm having problems with my mouse, my trackpad at the moment. Um, so yeah, we have all these really interesting sounds. This is actually, if I put a name to it, I guess it's another major seventh chord. But anyhow, it's just all really interesting sounds, and I just love this piece. And especially that one little chromatic passage just totally caught me off guard here. So let me just play that again because it's so fun. Yeah, I mean that's just gorgeous. I just love what's happening on here. So Sergio, if you are around, applause from me. What I want to also do is make sure I put in the link to the overall page for the cafe, but I want to go to the sheet music thing here and just make sure that as I play pieces, I'm posting the links to them. So that was this one here. So let me post that into the chat. This is actually just to say. A couple people, there's a couple where it's more than one submission on the same poem, so the titles won't necessarily distinguish them all. But I am going to just play music. If people who I'm playing your piece want to say something about the piece in the chat while it's playing, that would be fantastic. And but yeah, I'm just going to jump around and play some other pieces. So Kirk has a new one here also. So I'm going to, so this is Stopping by the Woods. Let me get that happening into the chat. That was, I think, the most recent one other than mine. Stopping by the Woods. So yeah, there's these couple random pieces that are added to the group that don't appear to have anything to do with what we're doing here. So I'm fine with them being added to the group. I really don't care. But I'm not going to be featuring them as part of what we're doing here. So there's Stopping by the Woods. And so this way, I would love it if you all, while we're listening, feel like putting any comments in the score on musescore.com. If you're logged in, you can do that, or just in the chat is fine too. But I figure we might as well have the links going. All right, so let's listen to this piece of Kirk's. Yeah, we are getting some really, really nice music. I'm just really loving. Um, I'm just loving the music that I'm hearing from these. It's all so different and just really well done. So Kirk's piece here, I think I had mentioned before about a piece that was barbershop and didn't, to me, sound as like the stereotypes that I expect of barbershop music. And then it was explained to me that yeah, okay, it's not always that traditional barbershop isn't the only thing anymore. And so this piece also starts off not really feeling like it's going to be as traditionally barbershop, but it uses just that little bit of that language, like what we had right before that time change, this little figure here. Yeah, that those uses of those dominant seventh chords moving that way is just pure barbershop, as is the little thing here. This isn't necessarily a tag. The term tag has a very specific meaning in barbershop world that refers to something you do at the end. And this, I guess this does count as a tag. Yeah. Yeah, really nice job, Kirk. Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep playing music because we got a lot of music, and I just feel like we should hear it. Now, I will say, if people have questions about anything relating to this project, your attempts to do it, or questions you have about other people's music that maybe the person who wrote it could comment on, or I can try to act as a surrogate, feel free. If you've got other unrelated random questions, I'm usually happy to take those, but I will say today probably I will want to put those off just so we can kind of get through the stuff that we have here. Kais, I see that you're here, and you had these two pieces, both um, on the same text, and we listened to the second one before because I think you said that was your second version, and that's the one you wanted to hear. But how do you feel about the first one? Is that because it really is quite different, and if you like, I could play that one too, and if you're not into it, that's fine also. But I'm gonna kind of go back and start skipping around and catching different people's music here. So Andrew, internet problems. Oh, okay, good. You're here. Cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna be playing some more of the music here, and I'm actually going to go back and play this one of Deb's because this one was never finished that I know. But it's still kind of really interesting ideas she was playing with, and I just feel like I want to play it because it's some really interesting ideas. So let's hear. And that's as far as that one goes. I mean, I really liked the sounds that are happening here. These are just interesting clusters of sound, and the voice leading is actually really nice. And I would love to see this one developed at some point. Now, this one is actually using Autumn Fires, which is the piece that I mentioned, the particular poem that I mentioned. And so I'm trying to make sure that I catch any pieces that were not played at all. Yeah, question about what do you call this when it's all piano? Well, I don't know. I figure this is like someone, as it even says, this is a test. So I'm looking at this as being perhaps someone just working out some ideas and they haven't bothered to score it all out yet. So, I think we're looking at a draft of something that isn't intended to eventually be this way. Now, if you did decide to write a piece like this for piano, you could still call it a chorale. It's just a chorale for piano. But chorale would be the basic style of what most of these pieces are, where we're putting, one syllable per note. So it's a chorale for piano. So while we're over here and I'm talking to you, Colleen, and we're just going to listen to your piece again. This is the version where I had changed this. We put the tempo marking that you asked for, and I put the clarinet sounds in. So it's the same version that we ended up with after listening to it before. And so I'm going to put this one in. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it here. Yeah, this is just so marvelous to me that we're getting just such a wide variety of sounds, and everyone's got their own unique language. I just got to play this one section again because it just really caught my ear, and I want to hear it again. Yeah, so one reason I'm highlighting that part is it's like the part that felt the closest to being understandable to me in terms of any sort of conventional harmonic rhythm or harmonic motions, and yeah, it's unexpected within that realm. But this is probably the most singable part. Like you could actually get for singers to sing this part here with relatively little trouble. A lot of the rest of it is chromatic enough, the combinations of accidentals that are all kind of mixed together. They sound really nice, but would be, I think, difficult to get singers to sing. But clarinets would sound good on it. And Colleen, you could try using BandLab and overdub yourself 4 times and record yourself doing this. Yeah, you could totally build yourself up your own performance of it. I don't know if you've tried that, but it could be fun. So yeah, this piece has its own language, its own thing going on, and I want to just scroll over here and see if Gijs, I had asked you about your first submission that we never really listened to. Well, heck, we're just going to listen to it anyhow because why not? Yeah, that is just beautiful. The other piece that we did listen to was the same poem, and seemed related to me. The autumn is old. So the autumn is old. And then this is, um, it's different and it's a different setting. And I still don't totally understand the relationship between the two, but I want to hear them back to back. So by gosh, we're going to hear them back to back. Yeah. So you called that a second? Oh, second version. I was going to say I thought you said second verse. And I was going to say, oh, really? Is that a second verse? But no, I see. It's just it's a different piece. It has some of the same character, but it really is a pretty different piece, right? And so you just sort of decided, hey, I'm going to try something different based on the same idea. Is what I feel like happened. By the way, in the chat, people are talking about BandLab because I mentioned that. BandLab is a pretty cool thing, and I don't want to sidetrack with that, but it's if you could imagine there being like Google Docs, the ability for multiple people to share a single document and read it together and actually compose together or write together. BandLab lets you do that with audio. So if you've used a digital audio workstation or even just an audio program, an audio editor like Audacity, it's kind of like that but online, and so you can actually have multiple people working on a piece of music together, which is kind of cool. But one person can also just use it to multi-track themselves. So anyhow, it's a cool little tool, and y'all might want to check it out, BandLab. Okay, so Kirk, I haven't seen comments from Kirk, and so I don't know if he's here. And I know there's some things of his that we listened to, and some things that I think we didn't. And I can't honestly remember which might be which, but I think maybe we didn't listen to this one. So we're going to now. This is Fall Leaves Fall. And I think there's actually two different versions of this poem. So I'm going to play the other one in a second. We did. Yeah, that is just beautiful. Yeah, so we did play that. As soon as I heard the unison at the beginning, I remembered. I thought there was a different one of Kirk's that there was like one time I was like, well, we don't have time to listen to both of these right now. Which one should we pick? So it might have been between these two. So I'll come back to those. But I want to listen to the other Fall Leaves Fall because I remember there is another. Well, I thought there was another Fall Leaves Fall. Wait a minute. Isn't there another Fall Leaves Fall? Come on. Fall Leaves Fall Kirk. Oh, Colleen, yours was Fall Leaves Fall. Duh. So we already heard it. Okay, silly me. Silly me. Um, all right. So, yeah, between those couple pieces of these other couple pieces of Kirk's, I'm pretty sure we listened to one and didn't listen to the other. And I'm not remembering which is which, but I'll tell you what I do want to. I'm trying to mix things up a little bit, so I'm going to come back to one of those. And I think we've heard everything there is to hear at least once, other than perhaps one of those, other than mine. So I'm going to play you mine now. And this one, as I mentioned, I started, and when I say I started, I mean I wrote two measures, and that was it. A month ago, and then I finished it over the weekend. So the first two measures, where I thought I was going with this piece, actually has nothing to do with where it ended. So I thought I was going one place with it, and it went somewhere else entirely, and that's fine. But the poem Autumn Fires is kind of just a pleasant thing about fire and autumn bonfires and how fun. But of course, right now in the United States and Colorado specifically, fires have been in the news a lot lately, not as a fun thing, but as a very destructive thing. And so I'm capturing, I'm aiming for a little bit of the maybe ominousness of talking about fire. You're talking about it like it's a good thing, but we all know there's a darker side to it. So anyhow, this is my setting of Autumn Fires. So that is my contribution to this to the party here. So yeah, it's the poem that I chose to begin with. I wasn't familiar with it before, but it caught my fancy, and that is my setting. I actually have I'm putting together a whole little tutorial where I talk about the harmony of it, because of course that's where my head has been so much, talking about harmony for like my online harmony course. And so I made a point of doing things like here. So people who have studied this aspect of harmony might recognize that sound is a Neapolitan. And I actually use the Neapolitan there, and I use it again here. Wait a minute, lost my place. So in a different key, that's a Neapolitan. And one of the reasons I did that is none of the examples that I was working on for the course actually had any Neapolitans, and I wanted to make sure that I worked one in there. So so I did. So thanks for the comments. All right, I'm going to just keep playing some music here, and so. See, Andrew, we played those pieces. I want to come back then to between Kirk's pieces here. there's the We Plow the Fields, and there's this Shakespeare. Did we listen to Shakespeare? I don't know that we listened to Shakespeare. So we're going to hear Shakespeare. Yeah, we definitely did not listen to that one, so I'm glad I got to that one, and I definitely want to just play everything today. So yeah, this is really nice, and it's definitely the one of the more lively pieces in there, which is good. I have a tendency when I'm thinking about composing to always sort of compose things that are I don't know, not as lively as the stuff I improvise, which is interesting because I will, I feel like I improvise differently than I compose. So it's fun to hear a piece that's got a little more of that going on. All right, so Andrew, we just listened to that Road Home last week. I'm going to pick one of the other ones. I'm going to go back to Autumn Rain here, and we're going to hear this one. Nice, Andy. So yeah, I forgot that we actually have two Andrews, both with an M for their middle name, but Andy goes by Andy. Um, and I think I had corresponded with you offline about that also. Um, so yeah, sorry if I'm sometimes getting people's names confused here. But let's come back, and now Andrew Mason, we got several pieces there, so let's check out this one. Beautiful. These are just all so good. Yeah, so I remember we did listen to. Pretty sure we listened to that one, and what's weird is I thought we had listened to Andy Monger's before, but then when I'm listening to it, it didn't sound familiar, and there's just so much interesting going on this. I think what happened was he was telling me he was going to be present for one of them, but not for another, and anyhow, I can't remember anything anymore. So beautiful. Jeff, we definitely checked this one out at one point, and we're going to do it again because we're just going to listen to all the submissions, just a few more to go through. So Jeff, this I remember talking about, and it's yet again just another thing that's different in style from everything else. Oh, I thought I turned off the repeats, but that one wanted to repeat anyhow. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. So, Jeff, are you here? I remember he was here, and we got to talk about this a little bit last time. But yeah, it's really nice how this piece is really the melody is just for one voice, or at least voices in unison, and all the interest comes from the accompaniment here, which was just another different way of organizing things, and it's just really some really fun things that are coming from it. Uh, so I think that's Andrew Mason. Okay, so this one then, the very first one that came in. Did I just play this? I can't remember anything. No, I didn't just play this. Here we go. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with the repeats. I sometimes I thought I had turned it off and then they're still playing and that's okay. It's just an extra minute and I don't have anywhere else to be. Don't know about you guys. So Andrew, that is just a lovely piece and it is nice to actually hear the multiple verses because it's as part of the structure of the piece, realizing the coda really isn't supposed to follow after only one verse. So it really helps us get a bigger picture of what's going on there. So yeah, this is all just really good stuff here. Um, yeah, Andrew. So I remember listening to this piece. One question I was going to ask you about that was about some of the places where you have like these 7/4 bars. If you're really thinking about this as 7/4, or if it was a way of sort of writing out a pause, writing out a fermata or writing out the ritardando or rallentando here, because I've done that as well in the past. Sometimes right using measures of different lengths to indicate places where I want this measure to take longer, even though technically I could have thought of it as 4/4 just with more push and pull of tempo. And so I'm always wondering that when I see things, what the thinking was. I made a deliberate push on my piece. I thought I was actually going to have different time signatures in every measure, and I just ended up writing in 5 and sticking with 5 and assuming that people performing it would speed up and slow down and add extra pauses as they saw fit. So, Season of Mists we listened to, Autumn Within we listened to, Plow the Fields is the one we haven't heard today. So, we're going to go on. And also, oh, that was Autumn Melody. Oh, this is the same one as the one I just have called Autumn 2, right? That is this. The Autumn is Old. I think I just have it. Yeah, so I think I just have that under two names. So let's go back to where I was. We plow the fields. Yeah, just way of creating a pause. Yeah, and that's fine. It's totally okay. I notice all the Bach chorales. He just sticks fermatas everywhere in places that are like sometimes like as modern musicians when we try to do that music, it's like we try to make it into a specific time signature that it isn't really necessarily. It's just meant to be a pause. And so I always remember feeling this sense of tension singing some of these church hymns where like I remember, praise God from whom all blessings flow. How long is that pause? Ba da 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 dum. How long is that pause? I don't know. And it always kind of bothered me a little bit that I couldn't make time signature sense out of it. And so somehow that feeling sticks with me that I want things to make time signature sense sometimes. Okay, so this is a piece of Kirk's that I think we listened to a few weeks ago, but we haven't listened to today. I'm going to actually toggle repeats off and on, see if that helps. Nice. And so, yeah, this piece of Kirk's is, I mean, they're all so beautiful. Everything has just been so fun to listen to. And Kirk's got several pieces in here, and they all have a somewhat different character. And this is different from his other pieces and different from anyone else's other pieces too. And it's just really fun to hear all these different things going on. And Andrew Mason, this one that we listened to last time, I feel like we want to listen to again. I think we listened to this again now. Now, am I wrong? Did we not listen to The Road Home yet? For some reason now I'm doubting this, but whatever. We definitely haven't listened to it today, so we're going to hear it now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's as I was putting in the chat, and I'd forgotten that this was the case. This is the one Andrew posted, where I guess you entered it into MuseScore. But yeah, it's just a good example of music from a published work. Composer Graham, I don't know. Is that because we don't know the person's full name? Is that the story there? Yeah. Arrangement by okay, Stephen Paulus. Okay, so yeah, this style of writing here is definitely is very much what I would say. Even though I'm saying that a lot of the pieces that we're hearing are very different in style, there's a certain uh, average, that we're all kind of cycling around, or many of us are cycling around, which is this type of writing, which is largely diatonic, and it makes use of things like I've talked about the use of that sound right there, which is an F triad with an added G, these added ninths. And it's a definite Americana aspect to this type of thing, of these triads with these added ninths. And there's a sense in which Aaron Copland has written music using these kinds of sounds and so forth. And it's sort of an early 20th century style of writing that I think kind of still permeates a huge amount of choral music. And so, yeah, it's largely diatonic, but with these sort of added ninths and other color tones occasionally, and some uses of secondary dominance and so forth. But it's the way it all works and the way the rhythms work together. It definitely is a really, really good model for things. So I want to just take one brief pass through here and make sure that of all the stuff I downloaded, we've listened to what, and this is just another copy of that other piece. And that's the Shakespeare. We Plow the Fields we just listened to. Jeff's Autumn Within. Andrew's Season of Mists. Andy Monger's Autumn Rain. Kirk Weed's Fall Leaf Fall. Both of the autumn pieces here. Colleen's piece. Deb's draft of a piece. And the autumn song there. So I think we've heard all the things that were submitted. So I want to thank everyone so much for just writing so much beautiful music and giving us so much to really be thinking about and talking about. I would say if there's any reflections anyone wants to make on your experience participating in this, or your experience not participating if you didn't, and also any questions that came up. One thing I could see, something apparently glitched out with these slurs here. They got moved. Unless maybe they either got moved somehow here, Andrew, or maybe your intent was to move it below the notes and make it curve underneath, and you tried doing that by dragging it. But just so you know, X flips it up and down and will flip the shape of it as well. So if that was, it could just be a glitch that happened. I might have accidentally did something weird editing it, or there might be a bug somewhere. That's possible too. So yeah, just fantastic work, everyone. And I'll tell you one thing I learned in my experience of doing this, as far as MuseScore goes, and something that I'm trying to take back to the development team. The one thing that I struggled with a little bit was situations like what happens right here in this measure. Right here, the word from is a melisma, but only in the tenor voice. Everyone else just has half notes. So in order to show that melisma in the tenor voice, that lyric has to be attached to the tenor voice in order to be able to put that melisma in there, that underscore, that line. But then the other verses I didn't want only attached to the tenor voice. I suppose I could have put them all in the tenor voice, but if there'd been somewhere else where there was a melisma in the alto voice, I would have had some verses, some lyrics in one staff and some on another staff. And then they wouldn't align well. And so probably there's some place where I can see that happening. Yeah, I don't know if there's... So here's a place where this melisma here is on the top staff only. This melisma here is on the bottom staff only, and this melisma here is on the bottom staff only. So in order to do that, I was thinking about how to do this, and you could try to manually adjust the position of the lyrics. What I did was I put invisible notes. So there's actually invisible notes in this measure here. If I go to View, Show Invisible, you can see that I put some invisible notes there that I attach the word from to. And then I also use the inspector to make them silent. And so that's how I got around that. But man, what a pain in the butt. So, okay, so yeah, so Andrew, the presence of the slur was nothing, that I had any questions about. It's more the position of the slur seems like it got perhaps messed up. Oh, were you trying? Oh, I see. You're putting the slur over the note. I mean, over the lyrics is what you're aiming for here, I guess. I think I guess I see. So you're not trying to. This isn't a slur you're trying to put on the note, but you're actually trying to put it on the lyric, just like it looks like, so that you're saying something about it. I think I understand that now. Yeah, and I don't actually know if there's a different way of indicating that. So anyhow, that was like the one thing that I ran into, this need to sometimes, if I had a melisma in one staff but not the other staff, I had to resort to these invisible notes way more often than I would have wanted to, just to get that all to work out. So that was something that I don't know, I saw as a something that I want to bring back to us as developers and see if we can find a better solution for, than having um, to do that. Also, I had to make sure that when I put my dynamics in on the bottom staff, they all showed up below. On the top staff, they show up below, and then at the end, I flip them all above. But they also show up. Usually they would be attached to voice 2, because I would be clicking the bottom note here to attach my dynamics to. But then I had to make sure that if I was adding dynamics in places where voice 2 didn't have a note, that I really was attaching to voice 2, because by putting them all in the same voice, then they align nicely, right? If this note goes down, you'll see everything moves together. Whereas if I had attached this dynamic here instead to voice 1, now you'll see it doesn't move with the others, and it really should. So I had to be a little more careful. I had to be careful about that, and probably anyone else would have to also. So that's another little learning experience for me. I mean, I know MuseScore works that way, but not having written a ton of choral music myself, I hadn't really had to think about that. Most of the choral music I've written has either been short examples for demonstrations, or it's been not closed score format like this, but rather open score format with separate stays for each voice. And then that issue doesn't come up. So anyhow, again, I want to thank everyone so much for submitting so much wonderful music here. And by all means, if you're still working on music, keep working on music, because, this is open-ended as far as I'm concerned. But next week I'll be back here with, I'll find something new to be talking about other than autumn and other than writing choral music. So as always, I'll take your suggestions for topics. And with that all said, I think I will say goodbye for the week and see you all next time. So thanks again for the just wonderful, wonderful